Hey guys, welcome to another episode of our Heffe Shop Shop. This week, working on the Vento again, and we're doing wiring. So we're just moving the Vento around so I can get it in the bay where the Model A was and clean the engine bay and stuff. Ronnie's an engineer and I've only got one jack. Do you want to give it a push? So we've got a jack on the other side and this is just sitting in a tray and you can move it. It's like Macca's trays. I really need to finish the end bay of the shed. It's going to be the wash bay. But for now, we have to improvise. So we have to clean the floor, obviously, but this is way better than trying to work on the car when it's filthy. Thanks, Ronnie. Alright, so I've cheated a little bit. This is the loom out of the Mk3 Golf, and this is the loom out of the Vento. So I got these out last night and it was an absolute nightmare. You can't really get under the dash of the Vento. You can get to the plugs, but it's real awkward. And then in the Mk3 I was concentrating a bit because I've got a new diagram. So I got this from Luke, found it actually. So it's from A2R Resource. So it's just a wiring diagram, like pinout for the fuse box. And it's got this diagram here, which has all of the numbers and all the plugs and everything all labelled. So what I did when I pulled the Mk3 apart was, although most of these only fit in one spot, I've just labelled them. So A2, you go over here, A2, and then you can go down this list and find A2, and that is the front wiring harness right. So alternator exciter wire, parking light, headlight, turn signal, blah, blah, blah. So each of these wires is labelled, and then the other side, I've just pulled all those out and found the matching plugs, pulled those out, got them out of the engine bay. So now I need to put this one back in and try and plug in those plugs. So I'm probably not going to film this because it's really awkward and it's a lot of back and forth. So I'll just try and get that done and then I'll update you when I'm there. Alright, so I've got the loom through the firewall, and if we come into here, I've got everything plugged into the fuse box. You can see how horrible this is. There's 4 plugs, which are just there, but I can't work out where they go. So there's one white one, there's one red one, and 2 yellow ones. The 2 yellow ones have the same coloured wire and will actually plug into each other, so I'm not sure if they're supposed to do that, but they both come from the firewall. Through the firewall, sorry. The red one wasn't plugged into anything, and the white one I couldn't find where it's supposed to go. So after reading the wiring stuff on the internet, I found this patch loom, which is in the Golf. So it goes to the cluster, which is just there, goes all the way through. So these two go to the fuse box. This one I've already plugged in, and then this is the other wire that goes to that white plug. So the wire color matches, and apparently this lets it go over 5,000 RPM or something like that, or stops it from cutting off or something like that. So I'm going to have to pull the dash out of this car and put this cluster in and replace this section of the loom. So that's easy enough, and that leaves me with the red one, which wasn't plugged into anything, and the 2 yellow ones. So I don't believe the yellow ones do anything. So they were in the original Vento loom, and they are in the Mk3 loom as well. So this is the Jetta loom over here, or the Vento loom. So they're just here, these two, and then this one here. So there's those 3 that I couldn't find where they go, and then the additional white one, which is for the VR6. So this one wasn't plugged into anything, and these 2 can plug into each other, but I don't know if they're supposed to, or if they're supposed to go to something else that we don't have. So it could be an option for electric seats, or headlight washers, or rear demister, or rear washer or something, I'm not sure. So bit of an issue on that one. So we'll go with this for now, and then if everything works, then we're all sweet. If it doesn't, I'll plug those 2 white yellow ones in together, and if that doesn't work, then I'll have to do a bit more homework. So I'm going to leave it like this for now, and then just get the engine in. Everything I've read says it should fire without that loom in, and then once we get to it, I'll put that loom in, and we should be all sweet. So I just got to continue getting this loom into that corner, and then run it all through the engine bay rather than all over the engine bay. So we're getting there. I still have to do the clutch plate, which I believe is that one there, undo those and put the clutch slave in. And then I think that's all I have to do in the engine bay, and I can put the VR6 back in. So I'll just try and get the loom all dialed first, get everything, all the brakes back together, get the clutch in, and then go from there. So it'll probably be another day that I do the actual engine in, but at least if we can get the engine bay sorted today, that'll be a really good start. So it is coming along, it's just tedious, and wiring is a little bit sketch. It is reasonably plug and play, like don't be scared of it, but just as long as you label everything you should be alright. It's just those 3 wires that I'm not 100% sure about. Alright, so this has been pretty miserable, as you can see. So I've swapped the booster over, that's the non-ABS one. I put the ABS one in thinking I could plug the extra wires in and it would at least, you know, the wires would go somewhere. But I've done that and then extended the wire because it wouldn't reach, and the plug's wrong. So I have no idea where this goes, and there's nothing similar on the other loom, so I have no idea where that's supposed to go. Then the master's different because the booster's on a different angle, the master's on a different angle, so I had to swap the master cylinder over. Then the lines were different, so I've changed those as well. I just rebent those, so as you can see this little whoop-de-doo, that's just to take up some of the space so that line meets up. So this is the clutch master, I've had to put that in as well. So then there's a line that goes from there to the slave, so that's been put in now. And then remove the heater lines, put the AC lines back in, and run all the vacuum lines that I can think of. And then had to remove the old clutch cable. So there's a grommet here that doesn't do anything and a grommet in there that doesn't do anything anymore. I put the grommets back in to try and keep the water out. And then under here there's a plug that doesn't really go anywhere. That's for the ABS as well, I'm pretty sure. And then this one's obviously for the coolant overflow or holder tank or whatever you want to call it. And then there's a ambient temp sensor and a few bits and pieces in here. So it's been reasonably miserable, but I think I've got it all under control. So this is the main plug for the engine. And this is all the headlight loom, and it also goes to the starter and the alternator and stuff. And then this big plug over here goes to the rad support and does the fan and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure. So it's been a mission. I had to swap over the airbox because that lid's slightly different, which means the bottom's slightly different, so that had to get swapped over for the VR6 one. And I drilled a few holes in it to make it a bit more free-flowing for air. So if you look in there, there's a bunch of holes down the bottom, and there's one at the back as well, which you can kind of see. So just trying to get as much airflow in there as I can, and Luke likes the noise, so make that noisy. So I think that's it for the engine bay. I just need to clean up obviously, and then we can get the VR6 in there, and then we'll start working out what we're missing, if anything. So I'm pretty confident we've got everything under control, but it's all a matter of like wait and see, get it all in the car, and then see if we're missing anything and see if it fires up. So coming inside, that's the headlight loom that plugs into this side that I have to also put back on the rad support. And then coming inside, I've still got the dash to swap that little loom over, and we've got everything under here sort of working now. One of the plugs I was missing goes to the dash, then the other 3 seem to go nowhere, and as far as I can find, that is correct. So I can put this back in place, but I'm just going to wait until the car starts before I do that. And then the clutch and a brake pedal. Clutch is on the floor because I just pushed it down, and it's all pretty much done in here. So hopefully this weekend put the engine in. Alright, so I just got the VR6 in, and now we need to put all the stuff back in, so the wiring, the plumbing and all that sort of stuff. So we're hoping to get it fired today, which is just pretty much wiring and a battery. And then tomorrow or the next day, I'll put the front end back on, get all the coolant all wrapped up, and then put the exhaust back on, and we should be pretty much there. So we've got everything under the car to support it. As long as the wiring's good, we should be good. So fingers crossed that the wiring is correct, because that's very scary. Alright, so yesterday Luke came around, gave me a hand, we put the engine mounts in, got the new coilovers in, put the exhaust on, all that sort of stuff. So it's been a bit of a mission, but it is now currently too low to get out of the shed because there's about 100mm drop over here and it's currently only about 50mm off the ground, so it'll just get stuck. So we'll raise it up a bit, and then once Luke gets it to his place he can lower it accordingly, but for now we're just going to raise it up about 50mm so it matches the back and looks all about right. So I'm going to drop the rear half of the subframe out when I do that, and then put the steering onto the rack, put the bolt in, and then jack the subframe back up again. Once all that's done, I need to do the shifter cables, which are in here. So there's this lot here, and then there's all that random stuff I need to clean up. So there's quite a lot to do. None of it's very exciting, so I'm just going to do it and then show you the result when it's done. Alright, so we've just been moving all the golf parts into the trailer so Luke can take them home. And we found the original Immobilizer box, which we definitely thought we'd lost. So that's in the car now. I've got the original key from the VR6 and the transponder, and I've got the normal key for the Vento. I just hope this works. It's working. It's continuing to run, finally. Yes! 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 Bye golf, mate. Enjoy becoming a microwave.